2021 is looking to be one of the best years ever for coasters, since not only are we getting delayed 2020 coasters, but also most of the planned 2021 coasters. So in today's video, I'm going to narrow down all of these amazing coasters opening up in 2021 to just 10, which I will then rank from worst to best. For this video, I will not be including clones of already existing coasters, so stunt pilots and all speeds will not be on this list. So at number 10 is Bombay Express, coming to Bollywood Park in Dubai. This massive new coaster was originally planned to go to Six Flags Dubai, but since that project's cancellation, this coaster is now going to Bollywood Park. This will give the park a huge standout coaster, and it will presumably break the record of most airtime on a coaster according to what the park is saying. Bombay Express is very reminiscent of Jungle Dragon or Python in Bamboo Forest in terms of scale and the focus on airtime. However, this is where the problem lies for me. I know many people would rank this coaster much higher on the list, but personally I'm not the biggest fan of airtime based GCIs, so I don't think it will be one of the best GCIs for me. I'm sure it will be a really fun ride, just nothing elite. Coming in at 9 is Light of Revenge at Happy Valley Nanjing. Despite this park opening in 2020, Light of Revenge did not open with the park. This is an Intamin LSM multi-launch coaster with a similar layout to Cheetah Hunter at Busch Gardens Tampa, but this version is more extreme. I can't wait to see how Intamin improves upon this already solid coaster, with Light of Revenge seeming to feature a few more airtime moments and some fairly snappy transitions. This coaster doesn't seem to be too relentless, but some elements look great, and that combined with Intamin's new lap bars is a recipe for an amazing coaster. In terms of where I think this will place among the other new Intamin LSM launch coasters, I think it will be around the same level as the sit down side of Dueling Dragons. While it isn't quite as intense, the duration will certainly make up for that. At number 8 is Abyssus at Energylandia. This Vekoma Super Shockwave looks like a fantastic coaster, with a fairly compact layout featuring a variety of forces. This coaster is opening with the new area Aqualantis, which will also feature a Vekoma Junior boomerang called Light Explorer. The coaster itself has a slow but decent looking first half, which reminds me of the finales of Vekoma's Hyperspace Warp coasters. Then the coaster goes through a solid looking second launch into a top hat, which unfortunately does trim, but it doesn't take away too much speed. But obviously it would be better if there were no trims present. The second half looks to have a great variety in forces, with some decent positives and great airtime, especially on the off-axis hill and the triangular hill. It doesn't look as relentless as Lek, and it won't feature too many lateral forces like most modern Vekomas, but it still looks like a really solid and fun multi-launch coaster with some fantastic elements, and it will give Energylandia one of the best top 3s out of any park out there. At number 7 is Hurricane at Suzu Forest World. This is a huge Mack launch coaster, which is very different to most Mack coasters. This has some huge elements, but it's fairly compact, with some of the highlight elements being the top hat, the high speed roll, and the low to the ground airtime hills. And these elements all look amazing, but the Cobra roll and the vertical loop do seem to be a bit of a dead spot. This is probably one of the hardest rides to judge on this list, as it's so different to anything Mack has done before, but it's great to see Mack come up with some more unique designs. I love the compact layout, and it seems to be more intense than most Mack rides' coasters, and it is definitely a contender for Mack ride's best coaster. At number 6 is Velocicoaster at Universal's Islands of Adventure. After seeing this ride test, it doesn't look too fast, and it won't be too intense of an experience, but it still looks great nonetheless. The theming looks amazing, but for me that is the only really outstanding feature of the ride. The first half looks to have some solid looking elements, but overall it's pretty slow. Again, the second half has some great looking elements, but none that really blow me away. The top hat looks really fun, and the second half seems to maintain a good pace. And one of the best elements looks like the outward bank turn in the second half, which will be amazing with the new gem restraints. But other than that, no elements look outstanding. This coaster reminds me of Taron at Phantasialand, but slightly improved because of a bigger variety of elements and better pacing. But I don't think that it'll be too much better than Taron, but if you love theming then this ride will definitely be for you, but this ride doesn't really suit my tastes. At number 5 is a coaster much closer to home, and that is the Ride to Happiness at Plopsaland Apana, which is still on track to open next year in 2021. Ride to Happiness will be the second Mack Extreme Spinner ever built. Whilst the one at Plopsaland lacks the impressive terrain of Silver Dollar City, the whole layout has more creativity, with its 5 inversions and many airtime moments. This coaster features a slow twisting Jojo roll out of the station, a huge raised up top hat and outward bank turn, which looks to provide some great airtime, and also giving it a huge vertical drop, which the one at Silver Dollar City also has. Some of the inversions also work so well for a spinning coaster, and I'm sure they'll be really disorienting, especially the banana roll and the double inverting dive loop. The ride also features an airtime hill on the launch like on Cobhead Strike, and the whole second half looks to have some really whippy transitions and good airtime, capitalising on the amazing spinning trains. I also like the unique theming for this coaster. While the name The Ride to Happiness isn't best, I like the Tomorrowland sponsorship, and it's very unique for a park. And the ride having onboard audio will be such a cool feature. I'm sure this will be an amazing addition to the park, and it will put this underrated park on the map, as I'm certain that the Ride to Happiness will be one of Mack Ride's best creations ever. At number 4 is Pantheon at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, which is a huge intimate LSM launch coaster which features a unique swing launch and high-speed twitch track. While the first half of Pantheon's layout consists of some slow turns and an inversion, the second half looks to be where it's at. The swing launch will feature an airtime hill during it, but the best parts of the ride definitely seem to be the top hat and outward bank turn. I'm a bit worried about how this coaster will run, seeing as some of the elements are absolutely massive, but even that almost 60 meter 95 degree drop alone will make this ride elite. The rest of the ride also looks great, with a low to the ground stall and some really high speed transitions which all look really intense. This ride seems like it could be one of Intamin's most intense coasters, and it's a teaser of what's to come with this manufacturer. But yeah, Pantheon looks like an amazing ride, and the standout elements on this coaster are sure to be among the best elements ever made, and this coaster will certainly be the best in the park, and maybe even a contender for the best coaster in the state of Virginia. The third spot is going to the first RMC on this list, Jersey Devil at Six Flags Great Adventure. This will be the third RMC Raptor ever built, and the first one not to use the prototype layout. Jersey Devil is much larger and has a much longer layout with loads of airtime moments. And the ride hardware is also improved from the originals, with Jersey Devil featuring modified trains, which will hopefully increase comfort, and are also longer, which will boost capacity. This coaster is certainly a wild card, as despite its abundance of airtime and phenomenally shaped inversions, it is much less compact than the original Raptors, which means it could lose the whippy, fast pacing which made the Raptors so popular among enthusiasts in the first place. On the other hand, it could still deliver that strong, amazing airtime, but just more of it, which would make for a great number 2 at the park, and maybe it could even be the best coaster in the park, giving Great Adventure one of the best 1-2 punches out of any park in the world. So coming in at number 2 is Conda at Wallaby, Belgium. Now having seen this ride test for just over a month, it looks phenomenal and it's definitely sped up. This ride is filled with airtime and almost all looks to be ejector. And this feature will also feature loads of laterals and solid positives as well. The biggest surprise of the ride for me is the drop. The chainlift was running so fast when testing, and in the back row it looks absolutely mental. But even after that, all of the airtime moments look really good. This coaster reminds me a lot of Steel Vengeance with the airtime focused layout, but whether it beats Steel Vengeance for me will depend upon how well it runs. But I can imagine once this ride is fully warmed up and it hits the figures stated in the announcement video, then it will truly be one of the world's best coasters. So, coming in at number 1 is Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens, Tampa. This huge RMC Hyper Hybrid seems to have some amazing elements, starting with that 91 degree drop, which leads into a huge outward bank turn which looks to provide strong sustained ejector air, which then goes into a massive downhill barrel roll, which looks to be one of the whippiest inversions on any coaster, which would be mental considering this ride only has lap bars. Rather than goes into what looks like a really whippy intense overbank turn, and then into an outward bank wave turn which looks to give some great sideways ejector. The rest of the ride looks great, with smaller pops of airtime, another inversion, and some intense looking turns. However, it doesn't quite seem to be on par with the amazing first half. This ride looks to be really aggressive, with loads of airtime, snappy transitions, and positives. I like the new style RMC has gone with Zadra and Iron Gwazi, where it focuses on bigger elements which are equally as aggressive as some of their smaller coasters. This ride looks to have some of RMC's whippiest elements, and while it doesn't quite focus on airtime as much as rides like Steel Vengeance, it makes up for that with focus on other forces such as the laterals and the positives. This ride seems to pack so much in such a short duration, and all the elements seem to deliver. Honestly, watching the testing footage of this ride, it almost looks like it's sped up. That's how fast it runs. And I can't wait to see this ride open and hopefully to ride it soon, as it looks like one of the world's best coasters. So those are my top 10 most anticipated coasters opening in 2021. This list was really hard to put together, as I'm sure some of the rides on this list will disappoint, and some will surprise us with how good they are. I'd love to see your list in the comment section down below, and if you enjoyed this video and want to see more roller coaster based content, then like and subscribe.